Talk about weather, you come to the right place. Got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. First off, there is a little snow and a little wintry mix coming in later on tonight. Right now it's manifesting itself as a little light snow up here across parts of Indiana. It is not going to amount to much, but it is up there nonetheless. It's a nuisance, and that's going to be mainly north of 64. We see that. There is a significant ice and snowstorm poised to come in here for the middle of the week. In the 8-day, there are multiple storm chances. In addition to that, significant Arctic air looks to come into play as well. So there's a lot of stuff on the table. So quick, the first part here is the advisory for tonight. It runs from Bracken and Pendleton County through Grant County, continues back through Owen, Henry, all the way back toward Louisville. So again, if you're headed to Cincinnati, you head to Louisville, you may run into a little bit of snow later on tonight. It's not going to be much. North of 64, again, you're seeing the numbers are for us a fraction of an inch. You get south of 64. Basically nothing out of the deal. There may be a little freezing drizzle trying to mix in for a few places. Closer to Cincinnati, it might be a couple inches. So let's talk about the ice potential that is coming in here for Wednesday and Thursday. You see the different amounts of ice, and we're talking about that. It's the ice layer that's on branches and on power lines. So 1/4 inch. It's light icing. It looks pretty. There could be some slick roads, but again, the impacts are minimal. I don't think we're seeing that. 1/4 to 1/2 inch. Now you're starting to get a little more serious where your car gets covered. It takes a while to chisel it out. Tree limbs will sag. There could be a few power outages starting at that point. You get into the 1/2 to 3/4 inch. Now you're talking some serious stuff where we're talking power outages become a little more widespread. Trees can certainly snap and break off. We are probably headed to the top end of this or the low end of that. The 3/4 to 1 inch is what we had in Lexington in 03. That's where power outages are widespread and they last a while. The storm that we had in 09 that affected areas around Danville and areas to the southwest of that was in the catastrophic category. That covered a lot of real estate. Lexington was brushed by that particular ice storm. Bottom line is we're going to be probably somewhere in that realm where this is going to be very impactful for us. So how does freezing rain happen? Nature does things backwards. Instead of getting colder as you go up, as it's supposed to be, there's a thick layer of warm air that allows the snowflakes that are initially falling to melt. And then they refreeze on surfaces like trees and on power lines. That thin layer can only be a few hundred feet thick, but that's enough that you end up with that coating of ice that causes all the problems. If we're looking for a saving grace out of the scenario, it would be if we ended up with sleet. Why? Because sleet, yeah, it accumulates, but it's not as big a hassle to get around in, and it doesn't have the power disruptions that freezing rain does. When sleet happens, your warm layer is thinner, and so it has a chance to freeze on the way down, turns into an ice pellet, which is sleet. And then snow, everything is cold all the way through. That would be nice, but I don't think it's likely for us this go around. Icing numbers, and now this axis of heaviest icing has oscillated with time, back and forth on each model run. In fact, the new run that just came in is actually trying to tilt it a little bit up more to the northeast, and the amounts are a little bit less. The bottom line is somebody somewhere is still going to get a significant amount of icing out of this. Right now, it looks to be from I-64 to about Highway 150. You are also looking at heavy snow when you get into northern Kentucky, and that'll be expanding southward with time, so we get perhaps some snow on top of the ice. So here's the setup. Here's your little front in here for tonight. There's your little bit of light snow, a little freezing drizzle mixed in there. That all clears out tomorrow morning. Then the stage is set for the next system to arrive. What starts out fairly calm, all of a sudden becomes very complex by late Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, and then Wednesday night is when this should be hitting its peak. That'll continue then into the morning hours of Thursday before this whole thing finally heads on off to the east. So again, lots to talk about here. Snow advisory north, light snow with a little wintry mix. Overnight lows around 30. It's going to be rain across the south. The morning mix ends, got a little freezing drizzle in there. May see a little sun up around 40. Your 8-day, you've got the major winter storm potential Wednesday going into Thursday, cold Friday and Saturday, and another storm threat arrives by Sunday.